Hello everyone and welcome back. This is the losers round 4 matchup between KingsIndian and Sherman Tanks. Sherman Tanks chose this map. He's over here in the red as the Mori. Chose Shinano River, a great map for bows, and he knows it because he brought 4 bow samurai, a bunch of swords as well, and some Naginata monks. So he's ready to dig in and sort of poke away KingsIndian, who's bringing sort of what he's been doing this whole tournament, and quite effectively this sort of Yari core he has going on, supported interestingly by Nodachis here in the middle and a Katana hero. Other than that, he's got Naginata monks, Yari Ashigaru, and a couple Great Guard. So very interesting here. No bow units. Shinano River is really a map where it's good to have some missile units covering your advance, because this river here just throws such a big wrench into your plans when you're attacking, because it slows you down so much. I mean, look how slow they're moving. It really just makes it hard to attack. But interestingly, Sherman Tanks is pulling back to this hilled forest area over there. Also, the ridges in the middle can make it hard to attack as well, as you're in danger of getting funneled between those two ridges. But Sherman Tanks is pulling back, so KingsIndian is not in any danger of getting funneled through there. But if he pulls back to these hills and manages to entice KingsIndian into that attack, he can be in big trouble. The Yari Cavalry already tried to do a little bit of damage here and did pretty well. Both Samurai here at 58 men, and the Yari Cavalry lost 15 of their own. Coming back for round 2 of the attack, getting a not too good of a charge, only killed a few men, but they lost a couple of his own. They're going to get caught in these spear wall here too, so not a very good charge right there. Now, Sherman Tanks is pulling back to this hill, and some of you might be crying that he's camping, which he sort of is, but he's not breaking any rules because he has these missile units. He's going to try and just annoy KingsIndian into an attack here, because he has this one bow cavalry, which was a good investment if you're trying to annoy an army into attacking you. And with these bow samurai, he'll be able to skirmish KingsIndian to death, because again, KingsIndian has no bows whatsoever. And if he wants to counteract this big missile army right here, he's going to have to use his cavalry to do it. And he doesn't have too many cavalry, and with all these swords against all those spears, most of which are Yari Ashigaru, KingsIndian is actually at a big disadvantage here when we're talking about the macro game. The build here for Sherman Tanks could very well just clean up KingsIndian, no problem, if he plays it well. And look at this. I thought I heard some feminine screaming, because here come the warrior nuns out of the forest. Kinda, I don't know. I mean, if he wasn't luring anybody in that direction, there's no way the nuns would catch up to cavalry, so it might be a bit of a waste there, especially if they get charged or something being so far away from the line. But the warrior nun morale is legendary, so we'll see what they can do. Katana Samurai and Naginata monks are coming in here. Not a bad idea to put some swords here in the anti-cavalry action, because KingsIndian really needs this cavalry to win, I think. I don't think his melee line is going to stand up to Sherman Tanks, especially being pelted by all those bows, unless he can really put that Katana hero in a good spot and get good charges off of those Nodachis. I think Sherman Tanks has a big advantage here. And speaking of big charges, Sherman Tanks is on a hill, and it is a bad angle to attack with the Nodachi, so that is going to hurt the Nodachis a lot if they try and attack up that hill. So KingsIndian is in a very precarious spot, but he is technically not the designated attacker. But when the enemy has so many bows and you don't have any, you really don't have a choice. This is why bows are so important, even if you're a hardcore infantryman like myself. It's just good to have those bows for support. So we'll see what KingsIndian does here. It looks like he's just going to go for it. Yari Ashigaru up in the front to take those bow shots. Still has 4 units. Yeah, they are hurt. At least one of them is, but 4, but actually only one of them is. The warrior nuns are positioning themselves as well. See, this is actually what I thought the Naginata monks should have been like, these warrior nuns. When they were overpowered, I said nerf the number of men in the unit. Best way to do that, but I won't talk about that now, because the battle is joining here. The Yari Ashigaru have made it to the front, and unfortunately for Sherman Tanks, his bows are up in the front, so they're going to get tied down by the Yari Ashigaru. It's actually a great sacrifice, because it will buy his infantry some time to get up to the front. Warrior nuns get charged by the Nodachis, and they are wavering. Looks like they'll go, but warrior nuns are just really feisty. It's hard to get them off the field, so we'll see if they end up rounding up. They have steadied, so maybe not. They will hold off that Nodachi for the time being. Katana hero looks like he just ran right at, yep, there he is, right in the middle, taking a big chunk of the enemy. Decent positioning, but that's a lot of infantry for Sherman Tanks, and he's just got a really good place to be right now. He's just, he's in a great spot. We have some wavering. There could be some danger here, though, because if this unit routes, then his center is just going to be able to, is going to have nothing there. KingsIndian can just run right through it, and right to his general, which is very dangerous, actually. And there it goes. So this flank is collapsing for Sherman Tanks. That is not good right now. He really needs to hold that out, because he could get a big hole here. Although the Naginata monks are coming to fill it. War cry is going down for KingsIndian. and does a decent job there on Sherman Tank's line, but it's not looking good for King's Indian. Sherman Tanks just has so many men up here in the front. It's going to be really tough. I guess I should also mention the buildings here real quick. King's Indian does have the sword dojo. I think he should have taken the time to get the other two buildings as well, as he had all the time in the world, as Sherman Tanks was going to sit there on that hill pretty much, and wouldn't be able to move his bow samurai up in time. I think if he had a cavalry unit or two go and capture those buildings, would have been really useful, especially if you're going to need to grind it out against so many bodies here. That shrine can be really important, and the farmhouse as well. That morale boost, or the stamina boost, could really come in handy. But interestingly, I mean, Sherman Tanks is actually, this was very good for King's Indian. He has had a little bit of a force over here, holding down this whole chunk, while the rest of it smashed this side, and now there's just not much over here. And in fact, his general's getting hit now, so actually King's Indian does a good job of charging a weak spot on Sherman Tank's line, and if he can take out the general here, he's going to swing the momentum in his favor. There's mass wavering now. Well, not mass wavering, but there's some on Sherman Tanks. Actually, that was a good attack here by King's Indian. Under a lot of pressure from those bows, he could pull this one out. It was not looking good for him, I'll tell you that, but looks like that sword dojo bonus is really going to help him out, and the general's wavering for Sherman Tanks. A lot of wavering here for Sherman Tanks. There he goes. The general is off the field. This will be huge, and they're out of the radius anyway over here. The last of the Yari Ashigaru are going to come in, and his general's in stand fight too, but we have some wavering on the front line for King's Indian. His line is very tired and hurt too. The Katana here is down to 11 men, but big cavalry charge here from the Katana cavalry could potentially seal the deal as we see wavering. The general is gone. They'll be able to stand and fight quite well against all these swords. In fact, they should tear right through them, no problem. And actually, King's Indian is going to come out with the win in game number 1 on Sherman Tank's home turf on Shinano River, a very hard map to attack on. And he did it. There we go. King's Indian going up 1-0 in the series. I'll see you back in the main menu. I think that was very well done by King's Indian. Looking at the numbers, it seemed like Sherman Tanks just had such a bigger army. It really did. I bet the numbers were fairly similar, but it just looked big, and it's very intimidating to attack a big army, especially when they're sort of on a hill, and those bows are putting under a lot of pressure as well. But King's Indian was pretty patient and calm and managed to split Sherman Tank's army just enough and swallow up those little chunks. It's very important to do that. When you're looking at attacking an enemy army, breaking them up into those small pieces and killing the little pieces one by one is a really good way to do it. Sometimes people kind of just blob their infantry forward and just kind of expect to win, but if you can split it up like that, great things can happen, and we just saw that. So King's Indian taking game number 1 on Sherman Tank's home turf. Could get the sweep here, going on to friendly territory. I'll see you there. Thanks for watching, everybody.